monitoring and mapping of rural water supply was and still remains a complicated process, especially in developing countries. It involved the use of expensive geographical information system-based software tools. More often than not, the skills and finances required to operate such tools didn't exist at local government levels, where maps and information relating to water supplies are most valuable. So the WaterPoint Mapper was developed by WaterAid to address the need for local use of evidence in planning, rehabilitation, and extension of rural water supply services.
Technology-wise, really there are three aspects to mapping. There's the collection of the data itself and obviously the indicators that you would use. There's the analysis of the data and the platform that you would need to do that on. And then there's using the data that you've collected and the analysis that's been made for decision-making purposes. So the tools that you use in those processes really need to be appropriate for district level staff. That's where all the planning and investment happens. If they're not appropriate for use at that level, then you're not going to get much progress. So what we thought would be useful on the analysis side is to use Excel. It's a package that people generally have access to, and you're more likely to find people skilled in basic Excel than ArcGIS.
So this tool can be used where there is minimum computer literacy and no internet connectivity. It is based basically on a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet that can be viewed offline using Google Earth. These maps are also compatible with other mapping tools. The tool has been developed in such a manner that it aims to place information and maps in the hands of the local level planners who need it most. The tool it is designed in such a way that it can serve a variety of functions for national and local planning, for national level advocacy and sector performance monitoring. It can be used anywhere, providing an efficient way to identify and track facilities that are working or that are not working and where new ones are needed.
The mapper can be downloaded from the WaterPoint Mapper's website, www.waterpointmapper.org. Once the tool is downloaded and downloaded the user guides, the user can go into the field and use a GPS device and a paper data collection sheet to collect information from all of the improved water supply facilities across a political administrative area. Enter that information into the spreadsheet and choose the type of map that you want to generate, so a coverage map perhaps or a functionality map. And then from that, you can generate a Google Earth file, and your map will be loaded up on Google Earth, and you can see a number of different layers with the data on. In the context of Rwanda, the district WASH coordinator was responsible for organising the WaterPoint mapping activities. So he was responsible for training each of the 15 sector, the sub-district engineers to collect information using the GPS device and a paper data collection sheet. All of this information was then compiled at his office in Rwanda district office and entered into the spreadsheet. He has then generated the maps himself using the software and is managing the information at the moment. The WaterPoint functionality map is showing the distribution and the status of improved water supply services across the Bugesera district. We can see not only the shape data analysis, but a point data analysis. The shape data analysis is showing the sub-districts or the sectors with their percentage of water points that are functional. So we can see the areas that are green are showing between 81 and 100% functionality, areas that are yellow showing between 60 and 80% functionality, the orange areas are showing between 41 and 60% functionality, and these faraway areas are showing between 0 and 20% functionality. The blue icons on the map are for functioning water points, the yellow for partially functioning water points, and the red for non-functioning water points. So this map could be used by the District Wash Coordinator in planning and decision making, for resource allocation amongst the sectors, and for targeting and the rehabilitation of failing services.
The output from the WaterPoint Mapper has been well received in the sector and achieved a good deal of attention. Maps we generated are to help the planners, decision makers and district development partners to know where exactly to intervene in water provision, rehabilitation of existing water points and that no longer function, and installation of new water sources where they never existed before. So depending on the need and the urgency. So we intended to link the WaterPoint Mapper with the National Monitoring Information System, so that the outputs from the WaterPoint Mapper will be used to update the national MIA system. WASH Coordinator has been very clear on this intention to ensure regular and reliable monitoring of the water supply services. We used the sub-district agronomists, in Rwanda we call them, or in other countries they call them agricultural extension officers, to collect the baseline information, and they will now be responsible for the ongoing monitoring and updating the MIA system by giving the information to the WASH Coordinator, who will then input this information into the system to regularly update the WaterPoint Mapper. Now, for this tool to be useful, it's got to have the updated information.
The other challenges that we've faced elsewhere have not been related to the technology itself, but to the environment in which it's been applied. So far, things have gone very well and very smoothly in Rwanda. We haven't met any governance challenges, but the governance challenges are our greatest hurdle, such as staff turnover, the costs associated with the data collection and the use of that information, and the politics that comes in with it. The technical challenges that we've experienced previously in other areas relate to what Willie was suggesting about the existing capacity of using Microsoft Excel. Sometimes this just simply hasn't been sufficient enough to be able to manage information and data sets and then use that data for a planning decision. Another technical challenge could possibly be viruses. Using a spreadsheet, it's vulnerable to viral attack. But with the Rwanda case study, we haven't yet met with any significant technical challenges or governance-related challenges.
First off, I would say don't think about the software. Don't start to think about the software until you're very far down the line in terms of exactly what indicators you're going to track, obviously, and what you're going to do with that information, and there's a commitment to actually act on that information. That information and its gathering is embedded within your monitoring framework nationally, and there's a very strong commitment to act on the findings, and there's ownership of the data, there's access of the information, it's agreed that is going to be accessible at district level. Then start to think about what software to use and what updating mechanisms to use. people wanted specific recommendations in terms of using the WaterPoint Mapper. We would look for whether capacity was there to use Excel, and if not, then training could be provided to do that. But the important thing to note really is that you do need a mechanism for ongoing updating of the information that goes into any of these tools. So there has to be capacity at the district level to provide regular data feeds into any tool that's used.